Hello everyone, this is Luke from Kilobits, and today we have a very special interview with Nels Anderson from Klei Entertainment. How are you doing, Nels?
Very well. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, thank you very much.
Good.
And today we're going to be talking about your latest game, Mark of the Ninja.
Yeah, Mark of the Ninja is a 2D stealth game, and those are kind of an unusual thing. Not many of those exist. Yeah, and it's kind of the genesis of the game just sort of came out of the fact that we wanted to make a game where you played as a ninja that was actually about being sneaky, right?
Of course.
Yeah, because, as a archetype or whatever, like that's what ninjas are all about. They're about, they afford like agility and cleverness and speed and stealth and all that.
Exactly.
But most ninja games are not actually about that. Just for whatever reason, it just happens to be that aside from, Tenchu, which was like 14 years ago.
Yeah, I remember playing that.
Oh, me too. Almost, it's all like totally over the top, ultra violent, like super crazy, flipping out and killing people. And that's fine. You can make some great games that way, but it's not really using that fictional construct as richly as it could be. And plus, I like stealth games a lot. There was kind of there seems to be a bit of an upswing in stealth games again now, which I think is great. There was kind of a bit of a dearth for a while, so we just saw a hole that needed filling, and wanted to fill it.
Fantastic. So we're playing as ninjas.
Yes.
But we appear to be ninjas in the modern day, correct?
Yep, that's exactly right. We did, partially just because we didn't want the game to seem like, oh, it's Tenchu, but in 2D. we sort of eschewed that feudal setting. And also, you can just do more in a modern setting with, like, the environment. Like, you can have security measures and traps and kinds of enemies and stuff, where if it's in, like, feudal settings, like, there's a guy with a torch, and there's another guy with a torch.
Yeah.
And so the setup is, there's this ninja clan that has survived past Japan's Sengoku Jidai, where, there was actually, like, real ninjas really operated and such. They survived into the modern era they discovered this flower, and this flower could be made into a tattoo ink. And so whenever anyone would receive these tattoos, they would get abilities. It's definitely not supernatural. It's nothing like that. It's more like height of human possibility. It's like they're an Olympic athlete, but in like 15 different sports.
So increased reflexes, extra speed, etc., etc.
Exactly, like perceptive stuff, all that business. But what was also discovered is that those tattoos, the ink from the flower, also drives whoever receives the tattoos slowly insane. So the clan kind of ritualized the uses of these tattoos, where, if there was ever a moment of crisis where the clan's very existence was threatened, whatever, they would, choose someone to select the tattoos. They would do whatever needed to be done to ensure the clan would survive, and then they asked to ritually kill themselves. And of course, the game begins with the player's character being selected to be the one to receive these tattoos because the clan is in kind of one of those moments of crisis.
Because they get invaded by a bunch of guys with guns, according to the first movie. That's right. Yeah. So there could be a bit of a plot twist, or rather, a bit of a sad ending for the main character, perhaps. Or would that be spoilers?
I definitely don't want to get into spoilers, but that setup was not sort of a throwaway thing, so we could have some window dressing to sneak around and be a cool ninja. That was very, very intentional on our part.
Yeah. Yeah. Having a look at the guards as I'm sneaking around here, I can see that very traditional cone vision, which reminds me very much of the original Metal Gear Solid, and I was wondering if any influences came from that particular game there.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I said, I like stealth games a lot. The one that's sort of been my favorite, the biggest touch point, whatever, was Thief.
I knew he was going to say that.
Yes. But there was definitely this was part of the challenge. Because 2D stealth games don't really exist. It's not like, they're well understood templates or schema that we can really draw upon. So it just ended up being, we just kind of need to really look at how the great stealth games work, kind of why they made the decisions they did, and then sort of deconstruct that, take it up a level, and then translate it into 2D instead, which was not an easy thing to do at all. It mainly...
I can imagine, but judging from what I played so far, you've definitely achieved a very good effect. I especially like that fog of war effect, which you've taken from the RTS genre, which I think it is a lovely take.
It wasn't like that wasn't a thing like from the outset. We're like, oh, gotta have this fog of war. It was just sort of a thing we were like playing around with. We're like, well, the spaces don't feel really cohesive when you can see everything. It actually decreased how sneaky you felt, because part of that whole stealth is like, oh, these guys don't understand where I am, but part of that is you're able to observe them or not. And when everything's just kind of laid out, you don't really have to do anything to get that heightened sense of information. It actually ended up feeling like a lot less sneaky. And as soon as we put that in there, we're like, oh, this is so much better.
I completely agree. It's a wonderful effect, and also the sort of shadow effect as well, where if you look through a door or through a vent, and then you peek back in, you can see a brief outline of the enemy, and then you can see visual representation of their footsteps as well, but only for a short second.
Yes.
So yes, it's a wonderful effect, and again, achieving this on a 2D platform is quite a feat indeed, but from what I can see so far, you have done a very good job.
Awesome. Well, I hope it translates well. I mean, all the people we put it in front of seem to quite dig it. I really like it.
Of course you do. Now, having a touch on your actual company itself, Nels.
Yes.
Obviously, you've got quite a back catalogue of games as well. And one thing I've noticed is that you have a very distinctive art style to all of your games, which is carried forth to this one as well.
Yep.
Where are you looking to go as well as a developer? Will you continue making this sort of genre of games, or are you looking to branch out?
Oh, that's kind of a good question. I mean, part of the reason why Klei's games look the way they do is, of course this was intentional, but it just ended up being the case as well, that our entire art team in the past has all worked on cartoon animation in some form or another, which is kind of why things look the way they do. And although like Ninja was kind of interesting because we were able to take kind of the very, very foundational elements from something like Shank, where it's like, the really stylized fluid animation, the tight controls, the really good game feel, and then do something completely different with it. Because, like, aside from that really, really, really basal stuff, Shank and Ninja couldn't really be more different games. And that's definitely what we kind of want to keep doing in the future is, take that foundational stuff, the things we know we're good at, but then apply them to different types of games. Like Klei's very first game, which we're doing a new version of soon as well, was called Eats, which is kind of like... Okay. It's like the Incredible Machine, like where you're building Rube Goldberg crazy things, except instead of, like candles and bowling balls and stuff, it was just a bunch of crazy cartoon things. So obviously that and Shank have nothing in common at all with each other. And I think that's kind of what we want to broadly we want to keep going forward, is not, end up pigeonholed making the same type of game over and over again, but, using the things that we know we're good at, do all kinds of different things.
Exactly. And as you said at the beginning of the interview as well, the stealth genre is something that has been quite slim over the past few years. Why do you think this is?
So I was talking to someone else in the press, maybe it's Patrick Klepek from Giant Bomb. I don't remember if he or I said it, but there's kind of like three-way for I don't know, you can call it a genre or a style of game, whatever. There's kind of like three ways they tend to evolve. One, they, in an attempt to become like more successful or broad or whatever, they end up mainstream is
I can think of a particular game.
Yes.
Beginning with an S and ending with a C.
Yes. So like mainstream is not really a good term, but you kind of know where I mean, where it's like, okay, to make this thing more accessible, we're just kind of going to smooth off the edges a little bit. But the danger with that is very often they can lose the things that were so interesting about them in the first place, right? And then kind of the other gross way things can go is they become like super, super, super niche, where the kind of the genre conventions sort of ossify or whatever, and it just ends up making the exact same game for the exact same set of people over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And like the games end up relying on so much institutional knowledge from the people who have played those games before, they just become completely inaccessible and very rote. And it's like, well, that's also disappointing, right? Like I think that's kind of how adventure games strung themselves up a bit, where it's like, well, these games are only for people that have played dozens of these things, and that's it. So what I mean, ideally, it seems that you want to try to thread the needle, right, where you're still, innovating, trying to do something different, but you're not losing what about that particular genre or style made a thing so interesting and special. So in the case of horror games, I always point to Amnesia, for the thing that like totally rode down the middle in a fantastic way, where it's like, I mean, that game is horrifying. It's probably the scariest bloody game I've ever played in my entire life. It's fantastic, but it's not just kind of relying on what horror games sort of have done in the past. And so, I mean, that's what we were. Obviously, this wasn't like a goal from the outset, but it seems that sort of increasingly, as we saw vestiges of this, we're going to keep pushing toward it, is doing kind of the same thing with Ninja, where this, obviously the game has, like, it is unabashedly a stealth game. But because of the change of perspective and all that kind of stuff, it might end up, it will still keep to that stuff that makes stealth gameplay really, really good, but do it in sort of a different way that's interesting, and well, hopefully folks find it interesting anyway. So we're like, well,
I was going to say, because when it is this a game? Obviously, it is a stealth game, but would you be able to, for example, just charge through, beating up every single enemy that you see, and just basically, I mean, is it like Splinter Cell, or the latest one, where it's a stealth game, but you can quite effectively just run through all the enemies, guns blazing, but with this one, of course, you can just beat the crap out of them?
Yeah, no. Definitely not. The game is unabashedly a stealth game. Kind of initially, we were like, well, I don't know, like, combat should maybe be a pillar of the game too. And then it was just, like, the thing is that if there's a strategy that people can employ in the game that's kind of boring and is not very interesting, but is successful, a lot of people will go with it, because, I mean, the game is framed in terms of, success, right? Making progress and surviving and all that. So if you provide kind of a lame means of doing that, but it works, a lot of people, through no fault of their own, will do that. And that's sort of not what we wanted at all.
Of course. As humans, we will seek the easiest path possible to win. That's what we do.
Yeah, exactly. So we're like, okay, well, we can't have it so that you can just plow through the level, punching all the men in the face, and then be successful. I mean, like, obviously, if you're kind of spotted by a guy, if you're kind of quick on the reaction and he's alone, or you can kind of isolate him, you can take him out probably without too much risk, again, as long as you're relatively quick on it. But if he catches you at a distance, or if there's more than one guy, then you're definitely in trouble. Like, we didn't want Ninja to be about just getting a basic understanding of how the game worked. We want to get people to that level of intentional play where stealth games are really interesting, where you're thinking through, like, cause and effect, how you want to manipulate the environment and the enemies and all that. We wanted to get folks there as quickly as possible. And so, kind of just maybe by virtue of the more abstract perspective, we were able to, well visualize, like, anytime a noise in the game is made that an enemy might hear, we, like, on the screen, we have a visual indicator for how far that noise traveled.
That's right, yeah.
And then you can even see it whenever you kind of aim at any object. Before you even attack it, just while you're aiming at it, you can also see how much noise it's going to make. So you're like, okay, well, if I break this light, is that guy going to hear it and respond? You just got to look. Unlike many games where it's like, well, he will or he won't. Try it and see. And so, I mean, and this wasn't the goal of this wasn't about making the game easy. It was just to make the difficulty come through, looking at an encounter, figuring out how the pieces fit together, and then executing kind of the way that you personally want to approach it, versus just figure out what's going on at all and try to make your way through this thing.
And I've noticed as well that you can do quite a bit of upgrading with your character as well. You've got defensive skills, you've got
Yep.
combat skills, and you've also got attack items or skills as well. Most of them are locked, so I've not had a chance to sample all of them yet. But it seems like there's quite a reasonable level of customization as well, so you can deal with various kinds of situations
Yep.
in your own manner.
That is exactly what design-wise I really wanted the game to be about, where it's not there are puzzles where you just have to find the right key for the right lock, so to speak. The game is about here's an encounter. Here are the tools you have at your disposal, and those tools include like your understanding of the game's systems and all that. And then it's just approach it in the way that you see fit.
Exactly.
So
just go.
Yeah.
Be your own ninja.
Yes, exactly. So when you're choosing those upgrades, some of them are, geared toward being more sneaky. Some of them are geared toward being more aggressive. But it's not like there are these very, very distinct trees you got to pick, and then once you commit to it, you're locked into that forever. It is really about just affording people choice and the agency to approach these things as they see fit. Like if someone wants to get through the entire game without killing anybody, that's totally their prerogative. If they want to make sure they stealth kill every single person at every level from all kinds of crazy positions and circumstances, that's also totally valid.
Of course, of course. So you're affording us many choices, which is always a good thing. Choice is good. Now, finding out a little bit more about your company, I believe it looks like it should be pronounced Klei, but it's actually pronounced Klei, isn't it? Yeah, go me. That's me doing my research right there.
That's awesome.
So tell me a little bit about the company. For example, are you a big company? What direction you're looking to go, etc., etc.
Yeah, no, we're pretty small. We're like 25 or 26 people. So basically, with Ninja was kind of the first time when Klei was able to make more than one project at a time successfully. So Shank 2 and Ninja were being developed in parallel, but staggered. So Shank 2 was like 6 months, I guess like 8 months now, ahead of Ninja. And then when Shank 2 finished, obviously a few folks jumped on to kind of get us over the crest. And then everyone else kind of splintered off to lay the groundwork for future projects. And that's really a space that we're in a kind of a internal studio dynamic, whatever, that we're very, very happy with, where we got enough folks that we can work on more than one thing at once. Like people can sort of choose the projects that they're best suited, that they're most interested in, and just approach them. But it's not like some ginormo corporation where there's like 800 people and it's insane. I mean, we are definitely small for a reason, and we fully intend to kind of keep it that way and just do things that are different.
Fantastic. I'm on the second level now where all the lasers are and such as well. Definitely a nice touch, and you've got to disable the power boxes as well. So is that going to be a recurring theme through the rest of the game, I would assume?
Yep. I mean, there are kind of 4 different traditional video game terms, worlds, I guess. Like 4 different, very distinct settings, and each of those settings has a number of different stuff in the environment. So, kind of after the introductory level, kind of this first chunk of 4 levels is sort of this modern city with like more powered traps and stuff like that. Then it rolls on to different locales in the future levels.
Very cool, very cool. And tell me, what is the origin of the name of the company, Klei? Very interested to find out, me being nosy as I am.
You mean Klei? I've worked for Klei. No, so it's so what it was is Jamie Chang, the founder of the company, he wanted something that it's about like being creative and molding things out of nothing and stuff like that. So he wanted to go with clay, just like clay, like the modeling, whatever, clay. But that was already taken by some other organization. So he's like, well, what's something that means that? So he just kind of literally looked through a dictionary until he saw Klei, K-L-E-I, which is Dutch for clay, like the mud. And then he went with that. And then from then on, we were forever Klei.
I see. So its origins are Dutch, and it means mud. So you are technically Mud Entertainment.
Yeah, basically.
I can kind of see why it's been named Klei now. We're going to wrap this up soon. Okay. But tell us, what can we expect in the future from Klei Entertainment, Nels? Any other projects on the horizon?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, we're doing an update to Eats, which I'm super excited about. And then we haven't talked a lot about it, but we're kind of running an open prototype, I guess, for another game we're working on right now called Don't Starve.
I saw this, yes.
Yeah, which is literally about that. It's sort of a weird survival sim, but it's kind of sciencey and magic-y. I haven't been involved with it at all. It's a different group of folks here, but whenever I get to play it, I'm always super excited because it is a weird, different thing that hopefully folks will enjoy. And we're going to be showing off. Obviously, this doesn't really help you guys in the UK much, but we are going to be showing off all of our games at PAX, at the Penny Arcade Expo in, just a couple weeks.
Okay.
So if anyone does happen to be coming all the way over here for that, all these things are certainly check-outable there.
Awesome stuff. Well, if I do find a way to make it down, I'll be sure to come and say hello.
Excellent.
So thank you very much for joining us today, Nels.
Of course, pleasure.
It's been lovely chatting to you.
Yeah, totally.
And and good luck at PAX, and good luck with your future projects. I think that that Mark of the Ninja is a really good game. I haven't played many 2D scrolling stealth games myself, but all the elements put together, it seems to work really well, and I think you've done a great job.
Great. I'm very glad you like it.
So, Mark of the Ninja, out on Xbox Live Arcade on the 7th of September. This has been Luke from Kilobits. Don't forget to rate, comment and subscribe to the channel, and you can follow us on Twitter. We are at the Kilobits. See you next time.